If everybody would please direct their eyes to this monitor.
Y bienvenidos a Dango Duo. Prometemos nada y te damos menos.
Hi.
Min-
Sumimasen.
So our show now comes in español,
Mm-hmm.
and Nihongo,
Nihongo.
English, and give me like your best Southern accent.
That's also English.
The joke is that the show now comes in Spanish, Japanese, English, and Southern.
Oh.
Hey y'all.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back to
Dango Duo.
We're playing them
And
animes.
We both went for the same fucking bit.
Yeah.
Hey there, can you let's go.
Oh,
You have a big scene coming up.
You're the one who put me on this screen.
Yeah, because I was doing the sound test.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, oh, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, no, we have big scene. We have big scene.
Big scene.
Let's fucking go somewhere else.
That's fair.
I know you all, I promised you all a big scene.
But we gotta go betray
Fuck
Luna.
it, let's go. You're not, if there was a way to beat this game without betraying Luna, you would do it.
You're not wrong.
I stayed silent. Alice sat down on the bench. We gazed at the smooth surface of the pond for several long minutes before she began to speak.
We didn't go to the sermon this route, I don't
No.
think.
You don't hate me?
No.
Oh, absolutely. You're horrible.
Listen, Max.
You betrayed me so many fucking times.
Max
I
Sigma.
can't even count. Oh, I mean, no. Why?
I tried to kill you.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't hear, but the fucking
Sad music's playing.
the music box song is playing, and that's the best song ever in
Nice.
this game. You mean in the AP game?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a bit of a
I
shit
was
move.
so scared. Who wouldn't be? Kidnapped
Yeah.
and locked up, forced to play some sort of bizarre game.
Fair.
And then we found that bomb. I know I probably sounded calm, but as soon as we found that thing, all I wanted to do was run away from it as fast as I could. Things just went downhill from there.
What do you mean?
I remember hearing that Quark had collapsed and running to the infirmary with everyone else. When I got there, I realized I couldn't understand what anyone was saying, and everything looked... I don't know how to describe it. It was like watching a video on fast forward, only it was real. Then I started to feel like... It's hard to explain.
Like, suicidal.
I guess you could say I didn't feel like I was myself, and it only got worse.
That was probably the radical sex.
Yes, I think so. I don't remember much after that. But when I woke up in the infirmary, suddenly all that fear was back. So all I could think about was getting out of this place as fast as I could.
What are you doing, girl?
And
This is
when
not the
I
best
crossed my
CG in the
mind, I
game.
could kill you. God help me, even if it had, I don't think I would have cared.
I don't know. We died too fast in the other route.
See? I'm horrible. You hate me, don't you?
Not.
Just do it.
What?
Just do what? Do what?
Kill me.
No!
Get it over with.
Jesus, lady.
What the hell? Alice, what the hell? I'm gonna kill you.
It's not even a question. He's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I don't even hate you.
You're lying.
Huh?
I could have killed you. I would have killed you.
It's
So when it came to this scene, I had way different feelings. I'm like, I mean, you're not wrong.
fair.
Come on, calm down. No one's killing anyone in this death game.
Yeah, nobody.
A single tear rolled down Alice's cheek. Then another and another, leaving shining lines across her face. When I reached out, I saw her tense just slightly. Slowly, I brushed my thumb against her cheek and off, taking her tears with it.
Why are you doing this?
I'm a good guy.
You know, you kind of remind me of my father.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's who you were after, right? The people who killed your dad?
Yes.
Did they have anything to do with the Myrmidons?
Will you promise not to tell Clover that I cried?
We'll see.
I'm supposed to be this badass bitch. Oh,
Sorry.
come on!
Keep your mouth shut. I'll tell you what you want to know. About myself. And about the Myrmidons. Deal?
Sure. My lips are sealed.
Really?
My lips are sealed.
What crying? I don't remember any crying.
What is this on my finger? Water? Get it off of me.
Ooh, I was gonna make this really bad.
That's fine.
Oof.
Alright then.
Alice took a deep breath and began.
Here we go.
Oh, fuck. Am I gonna have to read all this?
I can read it. If you want.
But then you won't be able... It won't set in, because you're reading it.
No.
Like, I can do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. My father is Egyptian. Oh, sorry, my bottle is making rattling noises. My father is Egyptian, but my mother is French. They met while my mother was in Egypt on vacation, and married shortly thereafter. When I was 3, we all moved to the US. To the US.
To the us.
My father was a scientist, and his field was cloning. Wouldn't that be 2 ants?
I don't know.
He was recruited by an American lab, which was why we moved. Both of my parents had used English around me from the time I was born, so I didn't have any problems adapting to life in the United States. By my 9th birthday, we had been there for 6 years. That was when it happened. In the middle of the day, my mother showed up at school.
You never want that.
Mm.
Fuck.
Her eyes were red and puffy, but she didn't say anything to me on the drive home. When we arrived, there were several policemen there to meet us. My father had always been a very punctual man, and when dinner time came and went with no sign of him, even I began to realize something terrible had happened. It wasn't until several years later that I finally learned the truth. My father's lab had been attacked by terrorists, and he had been kidnapped.
Fuck.
For the rest of my childhood, my mother raised me by herself. I didn't realize it then, but it must have been incredibly difficult for her, as a single mother alone in a country where any relatives were a transatlantic flight away. She did her best not to let me see it, but every so often when she thought she was alone, the mask would fall away, and in every line of her face I could see exhaustion and loneliness. As much as I missed my father, it was those moments that made me wish more than anything that he had never been taken.
Dope.
Fortunately, I was an excellent student and did especially well in math. I earned a full ride scholarship straight out of high school and spent the next several years studying.
Nice.
After graduation, I took a job with the Department of Defense, hoping that they might have the resources to help me look for my father. I was immediately assigned to the Special Office of Internal Security, SOIS.
Swiss.
Their purpose is to investigate and sometimes deal with terrorist organizations and other security threats to the state.
Fair.
I could tell my mother wasn't happy about my decision, but she helped me. But she chose to remain silent about it, Jesus.
It's okay.
Eventually, I learned that the terrorist organization that had taken my father was none other than the Myrmidons. Although at the time, that name didn't mean anything to me. They were suspected of human cloning. Specifically, it was thought that they had been using cloning techniques to copy their most useful members and expand their ranks. The Myrmidons apparently believed that they could use cloning to create a new race of humans. Now, at last, I knew the reason for my father's abduction. The commander of the Myrmidons is a man named Left.
And his right-hand man is a man named Right.
Refuto.
Lefto.
We know his name and his gender, but not his appearance or age.
Well, I mean, he might be a clone.
The Myrmidons are closely associated with a cult known as Free the Soul.
My soul shall be free.
We believe that Free the Soul provides their funding. But trying to pin any kind of misdeeds on the cult's leader, a man named Brother, is like trying to nail Jello to a wall. I mean, with enough, you can do that.
Most of the Jello will fall, though.
No, but if you make the Jello with a lot of gelatin, then it will be solid enough that it just retains its form.
Fair.
So there you go. You just gotta make them out of gelatin. It's easy. Brother is supposed to be fairly advanced in years, and rumors say he's so old he can't even get out of bed. Unfortunately, his mind seems to be as sharp as ever.
Of course.
At that point, I hit a wall. I knew the Myrmidons had been behind my father's kidnapping, but that was all I could learn about them. Oh! Does this look familiar to you?
It does.
Then one day, I got a tip that some of them were hiding in a building in the Nevada desert. I headed out immediately. On the way there, my car had some engine trouble and stalled out. I was trying to decide what to do when an SUV appeared out of nowhere. I'll give you one guess who was behind the steering wheel. Clover. That was the first time we met. There were 4 other people in the car with her, and when I asked them what they were doing, gosh, it's my dyslexia, the G and the D.
I know.
What they were doing, I got what was just about the last answer I had expected. They told me they had been locked up inside of the very building I've been on my way to investigate, and that they were currently in pursuit of the people who had kidnapped them in the first place.
And their leader was tied up in our trunk.
My priorities shifted very quickly. After a short discussion, I convinced them to allow me to come along. My hope was to find the people they were chasing, who I was certain were Myrmidons. In the end, however, we were unable to track them down. In fact, I still don't know where they might have gone. Eventually, I took Clover and her companions to SOIS headquarters. We decided that involving the police would only complicate things, except for that they're also part of the government, but I mean, I guess.
It's fine.
After some questioning, it was determined that the people who had instigated this particular event were not connected to the Myrmidons. We did, however, discover that the mysterious disappearance and subsequent reappearance of several children 9 years prior was connected to Free the Soul. There was also a 6th person in the SUV, although they weren't riding in it per se. A middle-aged man who I'll just call H for now, had been bound and placed in the trunk. According to the other 4, he had been behind the disappearance of the children 9 years earlier. Oh, look at this old fucking...
Oh my god.
We had also learned that his pharmaceutical company, a major player in the world stage, was effectively controlled by Free the Soul.
Oh.
More specifically, of course, H was a member of Free the Soul, and very committed to their cause.
Okay, listen, just because you made him the bad guy in the first game doesn't mean you have to make him even worse in this game.
Kitty, listen. Oh, this is the high def version of that image from the previous game, because it's just the files, and they converted them down to like fucking 260p resolution for the DS.
Yep.
More like 120p, but whatever.
Fine.
So why had he kidnapped all those children? Apparently, it had been part of an experiment designed to test the ability of certain people to access what's called the morphogenetic field.
The morphogenetic field?
I don't imagine you have ever heard of it before. I hate the fact that, like, grammatically speaking, the period has to be inside of the quotation marks. That's stupid. I hate that. That makes no sense.
That's how the grammar works.
That rule is wrong. That rule is absolutely wrong. It makes no sense.
That's how the grammar works.
Don't imagine you've ever heard of it before, so I'll try to give you a quick rundown. Simply put, these people can access a sort of field that allows their consciousness to resonate with the consciousness of certain other people. To be honest, it might be simpler to just call it telepathy. The SOIS had heard of this particular ability before and had actually used it in a number of investigations, so I wasn't surprised to learn of its existence. I was shocked, however, to learn that these experiments had been carried out by a member of Free the Soul. If that was the case, then Brother must have known about it. The thought of him discovering a way to control and harness that power was terrifying. It wasn't too long after the incident in Nevada that another tip about the Myrmidons crossed my desk. This time it claimed that the Myrmidons intended to launch a large-scale biological terrorist attack. My bosses decided that we needed more agents to deal with a threat of that magnitude, and Clover was recruited.
But not her brother.
Because she'd been in a test subject in H's experiment, we knew she had the ability to access the morphogenetic field, and we wanted to put that ability to use.
What about her brother?
After several months of training, she was sent on her first mission. She would be tasked with the infiltration and investigation of a Myrmidon cloning lab. You know this, how this story goes. It was assigned to her.
I was
assigned to be her commanding officer. I hoped that our investigation might also give me a lead on my father's whereabouts. At last, I had a chance to find out what had happened to him. I wouldn't let that chance pass me by. Perhaps that was what kept me from noticing the truth. The whole operation was a trap.
Oh yeah.
The lab was fake, and Clover was captured almost immediately. I got there as fast as I could, and when I arrived, the building was only an empty shell. All of the conspirators who had pretended to be researchers... Oh my god. All of the conspirators who had pretended to be researchers and the like had already fled. I searched frantically for Clover until at last, in a basement room, I found her. She had been tied to a chair, but on the floor next to her was another body.
Another body?
It was my father.
Holy shit!
He looked as if he had just been dumped there. When I got to him, his body was already cold.
Fuck.
He was covered in dark, ugly bruises.
Dude.
It wasn't until later that I learned he had died from ruptured organs and internal bleeding. Yeah. They had been... It's fine. That's where the blood is supposed to be on the inside. It's fine.
It's fine.
Oof, sorry, that's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine joke,
Nine-Nine, yeah.
They had beaten him to death.
Always gotta bring Brooklyn Nine-Nine into these 999s.
Yeah, welcome back to the fucking Brooklyn 999 podcast.
Yep.
That could be a good name, the Brooklyn 999 podcast. As soon as Clover had been captured, a Myrmidon in a mask had come to visit her. He had said that unless she wanted to end up like my father, she would leave them alone and tell her masters at the SOIS to do likewise. In retrospect, they must have known who I was and who my father was. That was why they had killed him. Perhaps they had thought they were sending a message to me.
Perhaps they'd used his usefulness.
Or that once he was gone, I would lose my reason for chasing them. Also, sure. Okay, if we get that slide again, remind me to tell you something. Mm-hmm. They were very, very wrong. I took Clover with me and left. I tried to console myself with the fact that I had at least been able to save her. Oof. Sometime later, I received a call from the coroner. He told me there was something I needed to see. There in the morgue was my father, cold and pale on a steel table. I could barely stand to look at him, but the coroner insisted. On his arm were 2 rows of numbers, comprised of 8s and 9s. It took me a moment to recognize my father's handwriting. He had carved them into his own skin. On his chest was another message, but there were letters this time, not numbers. Not many, just enough to make a short sentence.
Fuck.
Oh, oof. What was the Danganronpa one?
Leon?
No, oh, spoilers! Yeah. Okay. I love you, Alice.
Oh, sorry, 11307.
Yeah, 11307, yeah. Spoilers for a game from 10 years ago.
That we will play on the channel.
Yeah. I broke down crying. Wait, hold up.
Wait.
I broke down crying right there in the morgue. Did he write it backwards? Did he write it on his... Okay, it's fine. They were the first tears I'd shed since the operation had started, and there was no stopping them.
I could write it backwards.
Yeah, okay. I heart Alice.
There you go.
I think that would make it less impactful.
I heart you, Alice. Yeah.
Oof. There would be no forgiveness. Not for the monsters who had put my father through this. They had destroyed my family. I would make them pay, even if I had to die to do it. That night, I made a promise to myself.
It's about family.
It's about family.
It's about family.
I would revenge my father.
Oh, fair.
It didn't take long to figure out that the numbers he had written were latitude and longitude. They pointed to a chemical factory that had been disguised as an abandoned building. Further investigation revealed that it was the mother lode we'd been looking for, the headquarters of the Myrmidons.
Damn.
I think my father must have known how things would turn out. Knowing he was going to die, he had written the directions to our enemy's fortress in his own body. He had sacrificed too much for me to waste this opportunity with recklessness. This time our operation would succeed. This time I wouldn't let my excitement put Clover or any of my other agents in danger. So we took our time, we gathered information, we did our research, and we planned. Finally, we were ready.
But then...
December 25th, 2028. was going to be the day we finally set foot inside the Myrmidon stronghold.
Yep.
But then on the 22nd, only 3 days before the operation was scheduled to begin, a man in a gas mask appeared.
And the rest is history.
I guess I'm never gonna tell you about that slide. It's fine. So you inhaled that gas, passed that, and woke up here in the AB room.
Yes. Well, there it is. Everything that's happened with the Myrmidons and me. I left a few of the details out, of course, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Thanks. She gave me a sad sort of smile and stood up.
We should go back.
Not yet. Your story explained a lot, but there's still one big question.
Which is?
Who here is a Myrmidon? One of us planted the bombs.
Fair.
And based off the code we found, it's pretty clear that the person is a Myrmidon.
Yes.
Right? We can have a couple more lines.
Yeah.
And I agree that we need to figure out who they
What do
are.
you propose we do?
I love people fucking complain about using the they them genderless pronoun, but when it comes to hiding the identity of a killer, sure.
fine.
Oh, then it's no problem. It's so clever.
So easy.
Oh fuck. Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. We can do it like a couple more lines. Do you have any clues?
Clues? Well, if I could decrypt that code, it might tell us something, but
How can we do that?
I told you. We need a key. Without that, it's pointless.
What's a key?
Key is a key. It allows you to sort of unlock a code. Myrmidons usually use this huge string of numbers as a key.
Wait. A long string of numbers? Could that be...
I don't think I know this yet. Yeah, I don't think I know this yet.
What a great place to end an episode!
Because I only...
You haven't gotten a string of numbers.
No, I've only gotten the string of letters and numbers, and
Yeah.
that's for the bomb.
Yeah. You want to erase the bottom one. We climb back to the top.
To the top,
Kitty?
if you wanna rock and roll.
Kitty?
That's sad.
What's in your mind?
Poor her dad,
Poor her dad. Yeah, poor Mr. Alice.
Mr. Alice.
Kitty? I don't want to ask. I don't want to ask. I don't want to get your prediction. I don't want to just put that on you. I don't want to just, make you say it, but,
Oh, who's the baddie? Who's the planter of the bombs?
I don't know.
I hope it's Dio.
I don't know, Kitty. I
I hope it's that asshole Dio.
what if it's the person you least expect?
Clover.
What if it's the second person you least expect?
Quark.
What if it's the third person you least expect?
Tenmyo Gigi.
What if it's the 8th person you least expect?
Fight.
What if it's the 7th person you least expect?
No, I got Tenmyo Gigi. Who am I forgetting? Myself.
What if it's the 6th person you least expect?
I'm still forgetting somebody. Alice.
What if Alice planted the bombs?
Yeah, what if she's lying to us? It's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.